United 5 out of commission. After an engine explosion rained airplane parts on Broomfield, United is shutting down part of its fleet.
Was that a design failure? Was it an inspection failure?
A tragic milestone. The U.S. passes 500,000 COVID deaths, nearly a year after the first case in our country.
And Elijah McClain's parents praise an independent investigation into their son's death at the hands of police. The report uncovered 100-plus pages of flaws in Aurora's system.
It's shameful for Aurora, Colorado.
Today, the city of Aurora released the results of an independent investigation into the death of Elijah McClain. And this investigation alone won't lead to criminal charges, but it could change the way Aurora police handle cases going forward.
Well, Contact Denver7 investigator Jennifer Kovaleski spoke to McClain's parents today. And Jen, they have mixed emotions about this report.
Shannon and Ann, they say it finally exonerates their son, but they still want accountability. The report calls the investigation after McClain's death flawed, going so far as to say the interviews with the involved officers were neither probing nor objective. And at times, questions appeared designed with, quote, magic language. This 153-page independent report details much of what we already knew. Aurora police never should have stopped Elijah McClain.
Stop. I have a right to stop you because you're being suspicious.
And neither the caller nor any of the officers involved identified a crime that Mr. McClain was suspected of committing. But within seconds, officers used force, shown on this body cam video.
Now let go of me. Let's get over.
Attempted 2 carotid holds. EMS waited almost 7 minutes to interact with Mr. McClain.
Stop.
And their first contact was to administer the sedative ketamine.
We'll give that a couple of minutes. We'll see if that works.
Janine McClain's Elijah's mother. She says she's relieved that the truth surrounding her son's death is finally coming out.
It matters that he can no longer be labeled a suspect.
The report urges the city to review policy, training, and supervision of use of force, and it recommends more accountability.
Everybody's eyes are on them right now all around the world, and everything that they did to cover up their tracks is appalling. It's shameful for Aurora, Colorado.
Aurora City Councilman Curtis Gardner calls the findings disappointing.
It appears that night we did not follow our policies and procedures.
McClain died in Aurora police custody in August of 2019. He came to the attention of police after someone called 911 to report he was wearing a ski mask.
I have a right to stop you because you're being suspicious. Stop. Relax. Stop. I'm going home.
Police stop him, and then Aurora paramedics inject him with 500 milligrams of ketamine, a dose meant for a 200-pound person. McClain weighed just 143 pounds. The report confirms what our investigations have already uncovered. Medics gave him too much ketamine after estimating his weight wrong.
The conclusion was that ketamine is a safe drug when used appropriately, and I think that's really the key point here.
His death is why Gardner pushed for a temporary ban on ketamine until this report was complete. Do you plan to continue the moratorium?
I think it's too early to say. I want to discuss at further length tonight with those that conducted the review.
Elijah should have lived. He should not have died at all.
For McClain's family, the report details a cascade of unlawful actions committed by Aurora police officers. His father, LaWayne Mosley, says it shows what they've been saying from the start.
Hope he holds them accountable. They have problems.
Multiple investigations are underway into McClain's death. The Colorado Attorney General has opened a grand jury investigation. The FBI is also reviewing the case. The 3 officers involved in McClain's death were never disciplined for their actions that evening. For now, we're live in the newsroom. I'm Jennifer Kovaleski.
All right, Jennifer, thank you very much. And Aurora City Council just started meeting within the last few minutes, and they're going to be talking about the results of that investigation. We're monitoring the meeting. I promise we'll bring you any fallout tonight on Denver7 News at 10.
Of course, the McClain case is likely to change the rules around the use of ketamine. Denver7 took a 360 look at the issue earlier this year, and in McClain's case and many others, ketamine was given because police said he was in a state of what they call excited delirium, basically saying he was out of control. But the American Society of Anesthesiologists say law enforcement should never use ketamine. They say it can, quote, end in death when administered in a non-health care setting. Now, other doctors and police say ketamine is a necessary tool for de-escalation. Dr. Dylan Luton, the former director of emergency medicine at Swedish Medical Center, told us back in September that the more someone struggles with police, the more their health is at risk. And for that reason, police tend to favor a fast-acting drug like ketamine over a slow-moving one like Valium. And as the city of Aurora considers major change We want to hear your perspective on this. What do you think? What's the role of police? Email us at 360@thedenverchannel.com.
Police officers will not be the first people to respond to calls about homeless camps in Denver. The city just made that announcement this afternoon. A spokesperson said the city is making the change after finding success with its STAR program. That program, healthcare professionals are the first people to respond to camp calls.
More than 100 planes across the country are grounded tonight in the wake of the incident in Broomfield on Saturday.
Airplane engine parts were falling on the homes in that city. Video inside the plane shows broken fans on that broken engine.
And we now know that engine was manufactured by Pratt & Whitney. And the FAA is calling for an immediate inspection of every Boeing 777 with an engine made by that company.
And closer to home, we're learning more about the quick response from Broomfield Police. Denver 7's Patrick Perez live in Broomfield tonight with that. Patrick?
Yeah, you know, Shannon, the police department here in Broomfield is about a fraction of the size of Denver's. And that excitement that we saw over the weekend, it's pretty rare for a place with just about 70,000 people. So when they saw that smoke in the sky, the debris falling down, that small police department was about to get overwhelmed. Broomfield, Colorado was under an international spotlight Saturday afternoon.
It was very unprecedented for us. I don't think just for Broomfield, I think for Colorado as a whole in the nation.
When calls came in about smoke coming from a plane.
You see that there's like a little black cloud of smoke right there.
And debris falling from the sky, Broomfield police braced for the worst.
There was a moment in time we didn't know if we had the plane down. We didn't know if there was a plane that had crashed in Broomfield or crashed nearby.
That plane was United Airlines Flight 328. A Boeing 777 on its way from DIA to Honolulu when an explosion in its right engine sent debris flying everywhere.
Our dispatchers were understandably overwhelmed very quickly with the amount of 911 calls coming in.
911, are you calling about the airplane incident?
Yes, we got debris falling everywhere.
Yeah, we're getting a ton of calls.
Most of that debris fell at Commons Park. It's where officers spent a lot of the weekend picking up parts. Dozens of calls from others nearby made it clear the debris field was at least a mile wide.
We really appreciate the enthusiasm from our community. Everybody's really been trying to help.
The department is storing them at its headquarters before turning them over to the NTSB. You can still call Broomfield police if you find large pieces of debris like these, but if you find like a bolt or a screw, you're welcome to keep them. Police spokesperson Rachel Welty admits the department was overwhelmed by calls, not to mention the inability to collect every single piece of the plane that hit the ground.
We're just asking people, please call us if you find a substantial piece of plane. So something about the size of a computer monitor would be great.
Every piece of the plane's engine casing that rained down on Broomfield Saturday afternoon, key in solving a puzzle that will prevent a similar surprise from happening again. And police say people may still find some of that debris into the spring, especially when they go to check on their backyards. And by the way, today we learned from police in Arvada, which is about 10 miles south of Broomfield, that they also found a piece of debris. Wow. We're live in Broomfield tonight. I'm Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
Yeah, so crazy that that even happened. All right, Patrick, thank you. And the chairman of the NTSB will be answering questions about the incident over Broomfield at 6 o'clock our time this evening. We will be carrying that briefing on thedenverchannel.com and on the Denver 7 app for your streaming device.
The president announced today flags will fly at half staff for the rest of this week. This gesture marks 500,000 deaths in our country from COVID-19. And I know many of you watched that special report at 4 o'clock at the top of the hour there. President Biden said it's so important to remember the victims as we look to rebound from the pandemic.
I ask all Americans to remember. Remember those we lost and those who left behind. But as we all remember, I also ask us to act, to remain vigilant, to stay socially distanced, to mask up.
The president also held a moment of silence. And over the course of an hour, the National Cathedral tolled the bells 500 times, once for every 1,000 deaths. It would take 9 months to ring the bell once for every single victim.
The U.S. House is on track to pass President Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus bill by Saturday. The bill, which includes a $15 minimum wage, passed out of the House Budget Committee today in a party line vote. It is expected to clear the House. However, President Biden's plan could run into problems in the Senate, where multiple moderate Democrats say they won't support a $15 minimum wage.
Well, the weather-related vaccine delays finally caught up to Colorado over the weekend. Our state gave out about 13,000 doses of the vaccine Sunday, about half as many as we gave out the week before. According to the CDC, 6.8% of our state is now fully vaccinated, and we could pass 8% by the end of the week.
Wow, temperatures hit the 60s today, but there is snow coming up by the middle of the week.
The water is not safe for millions of Texans tonight.
This is what happens when I turn on my shower.
As you see, no running water at all.
We will show you the state's response as the outrage piles up.
And why 4 Colorado moms are pushing the legislature to pay for millions of diapers.